ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति. The first step he gives in the spiritual practice is renounce the fruit of all actions. To renounce the fruit of all actions, you do require X amount of self-control. That's what he is giving here in verse number 11. So long as you are having a very strong desire, you will not have control. So in the area where you have a powerful desire, you cannot practice control. That is not possible. So he says, what you have to do is you have to understand that action, even though propelled by your desires, we as human beings have got this unique capacity called Purushartha, self-effort or free will, meaning capacity to act independent of your desires. It's called Purushartha, wealth of a human being. Artha means wealth. Purusha, human. The wealth of a human being is called the Purushartha, is the choice. What is a choice? The choice is you have the capacity to act independent of your current level of desires. Whatever desire you have, the current level, you can operate slightly better than that. So that is the choice. Now, when you exercise that choice, when you use that choice, how you use that, the choice is done with this knowledge. Knowledge of what? I should be uniting with the self, with that desire. So he says, taking refuge in me, taking refuge in the union with me, renounce the fruits of all actions, self-controlled, means use the choice that is given to you as human beings. So when you are performing these actions, even though you will be following your desires, at no point of time you should understand action is not motivated by the fruit. Action is motivated by your desires. Also, you have the capacity to function beyond your desires. Fascinating contradiction. On one hand, Vedanta says you all actions stem from your desires, vasanas. Vasana is a term which we don't understand. Therefore, we keep it aside. Even though Vasana, thought, desire, action is the chronology of action, human beings have that capacity. Exercising that capacity is what he calls as yatatmava, is a self-controlled person. So what is your understanding? Understanding is action is not motivated by the fruit. The fruit of action, meaning the fulfillment of that desire, is not the motivating factor. For desire can never be fulfilled by nature. Desire cannot be fulfilled. No desire can be fulfilled. The proof is that desire should not reappear. If it is fulfilled, it should not come back. The fact that it is coming back. Sir, I want to have a car. You got a car, no? But then why you are asking for a next car? Another car? Better car? Once you had that, right? No, I want to have a latest model. Now the car that I have got is about 10 years old, sir. Or 5 years old or 2 years old, whatever the number of years is. It's old now. It's no longer having that, So I wanted to change it. So all your lifetime, what you are doing, you'll be moving from desire to desire to desire to desire to desire. It's only a replacement. One desire gets replaced with another desire. And in fact, many a times you will find those desires are repeating itself. It's the same desire. This is the same desire comes back again and again and again. Only thing is it takes a different form, appears to be new. If you carefully look into it, you will see it is the same thing, which means all your efforts that you have done in the past in the name of fulfilling the desires have resulted in the same scenario of what? Vacuum. Same incompleteness, same wanting, same problem. So therefore he says, understand this and use the choice that is given to you. And then how you deal with the fruit, understand the fruit is not because of you. There is a divine hand in producing the result. So your focus has to be on the effort. Your focus is not supposed to be on the result, because result cannot be decided by you. Result is always decided by collective. It's not one person, one action. It is a collective desire, collective effort. Collective effort which includes a divine hand. You can call it nature, you can call it any words you want. That is up to you. But whatever they be the scenario, we need to have this one. So he says, if you are unable to do even this means what? Keeping aside your agenda and operating. If you are not able to do that, then what you should do? Taking refuge in the union with me, renounce the fruit of all actions, self-controlled. What is the Yatatmavan? Is do not have this hurry to get the result. The moment you start the work, start the effort, all this practice is to be done during the effort. So now what he is referring to is not before the action, during the action. After the action, what you have to do? After the action, when result comes, take that result and understand the result to be the prasad given by the Lord. Think of me before enjoying the fruit. That is self-control. So you can understand self-control in two ways. during action, after action, meaning at the time of the fruit. So during action, what we are supposed to do is this. At the time of actions, you have to understand. If all this is very confusing, lowest point cannot be anything lower than this. That is, if you have desire, you will act. Right? If there is a desire, there will be action. For every action, there will be fruit. So the moment you have executed an action, there is no choice but to get the result. The quality of the result is going to be directly connected to the quality of your action. If it is mediocre effort, mediocre result. Lousy effort, lousy result. Important effort, important result. So as the effort, so is going to be the fruit. And some fruit will come anyway. Right? Some result will come. It's not that the result is not going to come. Result will come. The question is whether you are going to pass or fail is the point. Isn't it? When you write the exam, anyway result they will release, no? It may take 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. Somewhere down the line, result will come. When the result comes, anyway, when the result is going to come, what is the point of you lamenting about it? Anyway, it's going to come. And anyway, you have to experience the result. Isn't it? Like we say, if you are writing CA exam, when the results comes, only 2 choices you have. Either buy sweets and distribute, or take the books back and start studying. Only 2 options are there. Right? One of it you have to do. But the result will come. So anyway, the result will come. And anyway, you have no choice but to take the result. It's not that you cannot say, oh, I don't want the result, take it back. It's not like Amazon, Life is not like Amazon, where you can say, oh, I made a wrong order, sir, take it back. You can cancel the order. Life, you can't can cancel. Once a booking is done, once the action is executed, no choice but to get the result. So anyway, you are doing action, which means anyway it will produce a result, which means anyway you have no choice but to accept it. You can't resist it. Without resisting, accept the fruit. Why? Because anyway it is going to come. So therefore, why worry about it unnecessarily? Why get anxious about the result? It will come. What is the problem? Say. This is one learning we should all learn. How much ever we, look down upon, politicians. One aspect we have to learn from politicians. How much ever badly they were defeated. You see their operations, their efforts continue. They don't leave and get out. They lose the election. Yeah, of course, when they win the election, they celebrate. But what is so interesting is when they lose election, it's not that they quit. It's not that they get ejected. Now you see the sports people, when they lose a match, see how they walk back into the field. as though whole life is gone completely. See, that's the attitude. Now, Krishna speaks that. He says, be like that, man. The fruit will come. Why? Anyway, there will be the moment you have signed up for a sport, when you stand for election, there will be one person coming out as victorious. Full stop. For whatever reason, you may win or he may win. Now, we are not going into the methodologies of winning and all, losing and all that. All those things, planning and executions and all that to be done before. Once the action is done, where do you focus? He says, don't waste your energy. This is the lowest point you can come to. What is that lowest advice? From verse 11 is this. It says, anyway it will come. And anyway you don't have a choice. Why resist? Gracefully accept it. No? It's not philosophy. You see, a lot of people think this itself is philosophy. This is not philosophy. This is the least point he is giving here. So if you are unable to do even this, if you are unable to understand all that is being said, understand at least this much. What is it? Taking refuge in the union with me. Taking refuge in the union with me, you replace it with taking refuge in the result. For renounce the fruit of all actions. What is that? Renounce all your anxieties over the fruits of actions. Why? Anyway it will come. And anyway it is going to be accepted by you. You can't do anything. Therefore, gracefully accept it without resisting. That is called self-control. Take it, he says. Verse 11. Now, moving to verse 12. He says, Shreyo hi jnanam abhyasat. Jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. Dhyanat karma pala tyagaha. Tyaga chantiranantaram. Shanti hi anantaram. Anantaram is immediate. Immediately peace comes, he says. Now he's putting a googly now. Better indeed is knowledge than practice. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation. Now this is where we get confused. Sir, is there anything higher than meditation? He says, yes, there is. Better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. Peace immediately follows renunciation. Tyagat chantiran antaram. Tyagat, from renunciation, immediately you get peace. So now he is giving the hierarchy. What is that? It says, better indeed is knowledge than practice. Now, exactly opposite of what we believe. We all claim is, sir, practice. You should practice, no, what you preach. He says, no. It is knowledge. Shreya, better, superior. Indeed, knowledge is better than practice, abhyasat. Is there anything better than knowledge? He says, dhyanam vishishyate. Meditation excels knowledge. Then we ask this question, is there anything better than dhyanam? Suddenly he says, renunciation of the fruit of action is better than meditation. Why? Because peace immediately follows renunciation. So, practice, better than practice is knowledge and understanding. Understanding, knowledge, and understanding of what? Knowledge and understanding of what you practice. Which means practice per se has no meaning. So here we take practice as what? Abhyasa is mechanically performing something. Whatever you have been doing, you continue to be doing. That's practice. Better than that is knowledge, understanding. Understanding what? Understanding the purpose of the practice is better than practicing it. That doesn't mean now that I have understood the purpose of practice, I don't have to practice. No. One is unclear here. What is it? Practice is better. Practice is to be done. But do not practice it mechanically. Practice it with understanding. So, when he says knowledge is better than practice, what he is referring to is practicing with understanding. Not just simply theoretically sitting and talking. Not intellectualization. So, practice without understanding. Mechanically practicing. That is compulsory. That is the base. You have to do it. That's understood. There is no necessity for specifying that. There's no need for us to be telling what is the need of it, and all that is all understood. Right? You have to do it. But practice that with understanding. Understanding of what? Understanding of what is the connection between the agenda, the goal, and the practice. What you are doing and what you want out of this doing. Is there a link? Is there a connection? A link between the means and the goal. If my goal is to earn wealth, if my goal is to become wealthy, what I am doing, is it connected to becoming wealthy? Right. I work, earn, spend. Work, earn, spend. Will you become wealthy? No. You have to save. Oh, earn, save, spend, wealthy. No. You have to do one more step. What is it? Earn, save, invest, spend, wealthy. That's how it will happen. So, how you are going to get wealthy, sir? You have to earn, then you have to save, then you have to invest. Now, if you make a mistake in any one of this, to that extent, your agenda of becoming wealthy, wanting to become wealthy, is going to be delayed. Delayed or not possible. One of that will happen. Same thing he says. There is a means and there is a goal. I want to get name. How do you get name? How do you get fame? There is a means. You have to do that. Only when you do this, you will get the end. So through the means, you have to have an end. Now, knowledge is the proper connection of the means and the end. தான் ஞானம். Then he says, better than that practice with understanding. So what you are practicing here? Practicing is execution of karma, action. That's practice. Practice is action. Jnanam is practicing that karma with understanding. So when you practice with understanding, what will happen? All your desires will drop off. As your desires drop off, your ability to concentrate gets better. Having achieved that concentration, now no longer waste your time in the practice. Now no longer waste your time in sitting and studying more and more, understanding more and more. What you do? After achieving that concentration, you move on to meditation, a higher discipline. Attempt for a single pointed concentration. So attempting that single pointed concentration is better than practicing with understanding. So practicing is better than not practicing. Allah understood. He is not saying. We should understand all that. Practicing with understanding is better than practicing it mechanically. Meditation is better than practicing it with understanding. Then he says, something is better than even meditation. Adan googly. Up to this, it is sequence is very clear. This is where Bhagavad Gita becomes a scripture. Up to this, it's not a scripture. Now from here, Krishna establishes what he is teaching is a Shastra. Because one of the important qualification for a text to be called as a Shastra is the presence of contradiction. If there is no contradiction, it's not a Shastra. Don't go reverse. Wherever there is contradiction, it is all Shastra. It's not that. And a mad fellow blabbering, there is no connection. Now you can't call that as a scripture. Now here he comes and puts a googly and says, better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. Karma pala tyaga. Just before he said, meditate. If you cannot meditate, practice vairagya. If you cannot practice vairagya, act for my sake. If you cannot do that, practice renunciation of fruit of action. Which means renunciation of fruit of action is the lowest, least spiritual step. Now he says suddenly, if you cannot, better than meditation, which is the highest, better than the highest spiritual practice which he had referred just before. And he clearly mentioned that karma pala tyaga is the least. If you cannot do those things, you come to this, he says. Now suddenly he says, renunciation of the fruit of action is better than meditation. Now here we get confused. Because he mentions this as the last one, least spiritual practice. So now we have to reinterpret the whole thing. A couple of points we pick up from here. One, is engaging yourself in the higher spiritual practices without proper qualifications or without preparations is lower. It is better with qualification you practice the lower spiritual disciplines. What are the spiritual disciplines? Meditate, vairagya, renunciation or vairagya there. Then we said work for my sake, no personal agenda, renounce of fruit of action. Now, to practice each one of these disciplines, you require a qualification. If you have to study master's degree, you need a bachelor's degree. Right? For you to study bachelor's degree, you need 12th grade. Right? Now, when you are in the 8th standard or you are dropped out, you stopped your schooling, 8th standard, you are stopped. After that, you didn't go, whatever the reason is. There's a person who has not been to school after 8th standard. Now you meet that person. He comes and let's say that he is working in your office as a lift boy. You ask him, what are you doing? The boy says, sir, I am already 16. I am sitting. What is this? Why you are working? Why you are sitting here whole day? When you are sitting here whole day, join the open school. Finish your 10th standard. Correct? First thing we tell him is what? Hey, at least get your 10th standard certificate. Pass the 10th standard. Right? Open school you join. I will get you the books. Anyway, you are sitting here in the lift whole day. I will give you those books. And if you have any doubts, ask me. I will help you. Pass. So for him, he is qualified to appear for which exam now? He cannot appear for master's degree. See, there's no point in giving him all the master's degree books because I have all the books with me in the house, free. I dump it on this fellow and say, you start reading all that. He will not be able to read anything there. Even if he keeps the books, he will not be able to derive any benefit out of it. Same way, to practice a particular spiritual discipline, you need qualification. Now, what Krishna is saying here is, better than meditation is renunciation of the fruit of action. When he says, what he is referring to is, if you are not qualified for meditation, it is better you engage yourself in the lower discipline. It is better. So when he says this is better than meditation, not independently he says, better than for whom? It is better for whom, sir? Not independently. It is qualification. If you are having to have the qualification for the lower, do not engage in the higher spiritual discipline. Why do you do that? Many a times we do those things only to show off. It's a show of spiritual disciplines. That's about it. I am attending Gita class. It is or today Gita class is not. Today it is what? Meditation. I am practicing meditation, sir. How do you practice meditation? Because it's a trend today. What is a fashion? About 50 years back, 100 years back, you see, no spiritual master has ever recommended meditation, yoga. About 100 years back, you take, all the saints are there, no? North Indian sages, North Indian saints, sages of the old system. Right? Now we have had, Ramayana, Mahabharata, all those places, you find they engage only in discussion. Knowledge transaction will happen, or they will be engaging in karma, ritual. Either karma, or they sit and do this. Like when Dhritarashtra was not able to get sleep in the night, he calls Vidura. And whole night there is a discussion with Vidura, which is the Vidura Nidhi text, about various dharma. So many things going on and on and on and on and on. And finally a point comes where Dhritarashtra moves from dharmic inquiry into Brahman. When he started asking questions about Brahman, Vidura said, I am not the right person to talk about Brahman. He calls Sanat Sujatiyar, Sanat Kumar. He requests Sanat Kumara to teach him. Again, it's only Brahma Vichara, inquiry. Either they discuss, or if you are not finding sleep, what you should do? Meditate, he should have said no. Right? Very simple. Nowadays people do that. If you cannot sleep, what you should do, sir? Meditate, you will get good sleep now. Yes. Nowhere these masters have ever spoken of. Meditation is only referred. That's about it. Meditation was not told or recommended at all, actually, to anyone, they say. Similarly, the yoga also. Then what you should do? Practice yogasana, you will get good sleep. Stand in Sirasasana. What is your problem? You will get sleep in 5 minutes. That practice is there, that raised leg. Against a wall, raise your legs. Against the wall, if you lie down, your body gets relaxed and you get a good sleep. All that Vidura should have told Dhritarashtra is what? Was there no wall or what? Or you will say what? Vidura didn't know these things. No. Why? Because they kept these things as a secret. Why they didn't teach it to the general public? Today we brought the whole thing into general public. They are not qualified. So that unqualified people practicing these higher spiritual disciplines will be a redundant one. Instead of producing a positive effect, there's a very good chance of creating a damage. It can damage a system. So therefore, then why do you practice it? It's fashion. It's in thing today. It is in thing, sir. It is practicing these higher spiritual disciplines. No. Practicing the lower stages, even the first step in the spiritual discipline path, which is renunciation of the fruit of action, is better than practicing vairagya without qualification, practicing dhyana without qualification. So he says, renunciation of fruit of action is better than meditation. See, one. Second aspect is better when he says better to practice. Right? Better can be understood from two angles. One, which is the best of all this, which is the best result. Then we'll say this is even better, that's even better, that's even better. So we can qualify them like this, or you qualify them based on which is easier one to practice, we say better. Isn't it? Which is the easier one to practice? Say. Easier one to follow. Essential one to follow. Therefore, he says, he mentions this as a last one. He mentions last. Why? Because this is better for you. Arjuna, as a person, it is better for you. And today, all of us think we are all like Arjuna. We are not like Arjuna. Right? Arjuna's condition, you should remember. In the battlefield, Arjuna gets into a particular position. Arjuna's positioning is very, very important. Many of us miss that positioning of Arjuna. Arjuna says, the sorrow that is going to be experienced by me, killing all these people, there is sorrow. Whatever be the outcome, whatever I am going to get, the pleasures that I would be experiencing in future can never outshine the sorrow. See, for all of us, we don't experience like that. Yeah, there is sorrow. My near and dear passes away. There is sorrow. That doesn't mean after that sorrow, I never experience joy in my life. There are moments of joy also I experience after that, which means this sorrow gets overshadowed by that. The pleasures, that's how life is. Life for all of us is the pleasures of future, pleasures of something. When I experience more pleasure, I tend to forget the pain that I have experienced in the past. Now, Arjuna's position is not that, remember. Arjuna's position is the pain that I am going to experience by killing. Killing who? His problem is not killing Duryodhana. His problem is killing Bhishma, Drona. That's why Krishna tactfully goes and places the chariot. It's like in the pictures we see, no? Mahabharata, that Gita pictures, if you see, you will see that, there are two armies and, chariot is standing in between. But if you visualize, it looks little complex because Krishna goes and places a chariot right in front of Bhishma, Drona. By design of the army, when they assemble, who will be standing the front row? Soldiers will be standing in the front row. Foot soldiers. Behind the foot soldiers only horse. Behind the horse only chariot. There. And Bhishma is the commander. Will commander be standing in the middle or as a first person? So obviously, Bhishma will be standing, Bhishma Drona will be standing where? They have to guide the thing. So they have to guide the thing. They will not be standing in the front row. First person standing there is not Bhishma and Drona. So obviously in front of him there will be hundreds, thousands of soldiers will be standing. So far Krishna will be placing his chariot and he sees Bhishma. That means what? There's a very good chance Krishna would have driven the chariot inside Senayor Bhayor Madhye. When he says, place the chariot in the middle, is he saying in the middle of the Kaurava army or middle of two armies? He must have taken the chariot somewhere in between, no? Because that's where he sees him straight. My God. If he sees him far off, how that will be? I get totally confused. I don't understand how he would have placed his chariot in between that army. He would be driving the chariot. Enemy camp, He'll be driving the chariot in enemy camp. Enemy is all waiting. Okay, go. They say. Weird fellows. It's so interesting to see. Arjuna's problem is very different. So Arjuna positions himself very clearly. He says that the sorrow of mine, I am not seeing any possibility. Any possibility in the sense, all the pleasures that I can get in future can never remove this sorrow. In our cases, what is it? The sorrow of the previous year loss is forgotten completely. Last tournament was lost by CSK. Forgotten completely, no? Once you win this year, one victory this year, the last year's joy of winning the tournament by GT, no? Gujarat Titans. Last time they won, I think. They won. Forgotten by this loss. So always what we do, we keep the pains, we keep forgetting. This is the condition of us. In such a scenario, the short-term memory we live. With the short-term memory, when you are going to be living your life, do not take up such practices. So what you have to do is understand it is better to practice the lower discipline. Master that. After mastering this, you go for the next level of practice with a full qualification, or if possible, with more qualification. I am much more qualified than to go. Like when I went for this typewriting class, those days we used to go for typing institute. As soon as you finish your 10th standard, first thing you do is join typewriting institute. I have to practice. I have to go for. I didn't had that money to pay the fees. I mean the exam fee. Exam fee I didn't have. So I had to skip that. One term I skipped. But I was going for the institute. Since I've been going for the institute practice, I started typing almost to the speed of a higher. There are two levels, lower and higher. Lower means, 90 words or something. And we need to type in 5 minutes, something like that. I forgot the thing. Higher means about 120 words per minute or something like that. You have to type and all the calculations. It's only 5 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, not 5 minutes. It's about 10 to 15 minutes, 12 minutes or something like that. They'll keep the time for exam. When I appeared for that exam first term I missed. So since I missed, I have to go for lower only. But when I went for the lower, in the institute, I'm already typing almost to the speed of the higher. Not to the actual, because the training is slightly different for them. That he didn't expose me, but he said, you are typing much faster. I forget it. So when I went for the examination hall, so interesting, that exam hall, it'll be scary actually. Because all of us have to keep that paper, question paper should be kept turned upside down. When they ring a bell, we have to turn it and start typing, because you are not supposed to read before that. You see, so you have to turn and start. Now, if you see that, at a stretch, there will be about 40 to 50 typewriting machine in one room, and everyone will turn that and start. It's like, that thousand wala suddenly coming, that noise will come. It's scary that will be. So many of them get tensed actually, because you have to finish it. You see, so all those fellows who appeared for that exams are all coming lower. I am already finishing it in 3 minutes extra. I used to have in the institute when we practice. So 2-3 minutes extra I used to have. So he said, you forget, he said. I turned that paper, I read the whole thing and then started. Almost, about 2 minutes, 2-3 minutes actually, late I'm starting. Late you start 3 minutes, but I finished in a minute or so earlier. I finished and then I started looking around everyone. I gave the paper and came off. Of course, first class I passed. Who is this? When you go for the testing, qualify yourself. It's better to be more qualified. Even if you are qualified for the higher, even if you are qualified to practice work for my sake, where you should be? Renounce the fruit of action. Sarva karma palatyaga is what you should do. Then, along with that, keep qualifying yourself for the higher vairagya. When you are having that vairagya, when you are capable of practicing that vairagya, you practice what? Work for my sake. See, one step. You are qualified for that, but always it is safer for you to practice one step. Your practices always should be, but your preparation should always be for the higher. So remember, there are two different things. That's what he is giving here, Krishna. Beautiful advice. Better indeed is knowledge than practice. Better than knowledge is meditation. Better than meditation is renunciation of fruit of action. Peace immediately follows renunciation. Shanti. You are relaxed. Instantly. It's not that, future tense. He says, you get peace when? Not in future. Distant future, you are going to get peace. No. He says, instantly you will get peace. So, therefore, what is necessary here? What is essential is not what you practice. Essential is to develop the qualification. Get on to qualify yourself. Six to 12. The progressive steps to reach God. Now, understood here is, I have followed the disciplines given by Krishna. Following the disciplines by where I should have achieved, I should have reached the last step. What is it? Peace immediately follows renunciation. I should have already achieved that peace in me, which means already I should have become a spiritual being, or in the context, bhakta. Right. Now, Krishna gives, for all practical purpose, for the question raised by Arjuna, Krishna has already answered it. Now, as a typical style of a master, he gives little extra knowledge than what was requested by Arjuna. Arjuna never asked more than this. Right? He asked only this much. So, for all purpose, with the 12th verse, the chapter should be over. But Krishna continues and he moves on to something totally different from what is here. Something very new he moves on to. Starts explaining the qualities of a bhakta. And he gives 35 qualities. Right. This 35 qualities of a bhakta, when he says, bhakta, you need to understand there are two stages. One is parabhakta, aparabhakta. Parabhakta means higher, apara is not higher, means lower. Meaning, the one who is already a bhakta, another one is attempting to become a bhakta. There are two types. One is a bhakta, another one is attempting bhakta, trying to become a bhakta. One who has achieved, one who is aspiring, the one who has attained it is a parabhakta. Another one is aparabhakta. Aparabhakta is trying to become a bhakta. So, Krishna is depicting the state of that bhakta. What is the inner condition of that bhakta? The one who has achieved that state of bhakti. Right. Like we say, Tyagaraja's music is expression of bhakti which he has already attained. Right. Now, when we are singing this Brova Bharama is not from bhakti we have already got. Right. His bhakti expressed as his music. For all of us, through this music of Tyagaraja, we are attempting to develop that bhakti. That's the difference. Right. Now, this 35 qualities is not given to us for practice purpose. Remember, you cannot practice any one of this. Right. At best, what you can do, you can only imitate. You can put a dress like Tyagaraja and train yourself in music and sing beautifully. But you are nowhere near Tyagaraja. See, you can dress like Mirabai. Yeah. You can put costumes like Mirabai and sit like Mirabai and sing like Mirabai only. Her own songs you can sing. But then you don't become Mirabai by that. Why? Because she has attained that state of bhakti finds expression. That inner state expresses in a particular way. The inner perfection that is attained by these people finds a particular manifestation, expression. And that expression, he cannot give one. The problem is, if he gives one or two, we will immediately think, oh, that's the only way it will express. No. There are very many ways of expressions. Like in the Gita itself, Krishna gives in 3 places, explains about this state. In chapter 2, Sthita Prajna. What is the state of a man of perfection? You find there a particular description was given. 18 slokas. 54 to 72. Beautiful exposition. Of course, includes Arjuna's quick question. His answer starts from the next verse. Right? Beautiful exposition. Same way you find in chapter 12. Sthita Prajna Lakshana, Parabhakta Lakshana, and in the 14th chapter, again he gives Gunatita Lakshana, the one who has transcended the gunas. Gunatita Lakshana, because there also Arjuna asks, can you describe a person who has transcended the gunas? All those qualities? Says, yes. He explains there. In 3 different places in the Gita itself, he gives the description of perfection. So if you have to understand a man of perfection, a spiritually perfected being, you need all these 3 portions together you have to see. Because there is no singular manifestation. Therefore, many places he gives, in this one place itself, he is giving 35 expressions. So first thing we understand is this. When you are reading this portion, point number 1, this is not for practice. This is for you to understand there are 35 ways in which spiritual maturity. Spiritually maturity means an emotional maturity attained by that person inside has certain qualifications. How that will be, he gives certain indications for that. So do not try to practice, number 1. Number 2, there are certain things you need to get clear here before you proceed in the portion of 35 qualities of a bhakta. One of the important things you need to get here is, this is not to sit and start judging people. Right? Oh, yeah, he is spiritual, sir. He has that, he has this, he has that. Now, this is not to sit and pass judgment about another person's spiritual status. This is to be directed to verify your inner condition with the measuring scale that he is giving. Right? This is just a reference point. Like we give, that BMI index. We give, there is a scale. Like if you have to know your blood pressure, there is a scale. That scaling is given for you to measure your BP. That is not for others. What is the use of you knowing about other people? It's a waste of time. Number one. Number two, you will never know, because this is not the action. This is the inner state of that person. Right? It is his mental state. You cannot enter into another person's mind and know his mental condition. At best, you can guess. That's about it. You can infer. But remember, your inference is your inference. It need not be factual. What if your inference is wrong? So therefore, we say this is not for certifying others. One. Second point, one more warning. Two warnings we give, particularly these 35 qualities. So when you go to Sthita Prajna, there it is a different one. Right? Gunatita, you go, there is a different thing. But this 35 qualities of a bhakta has a particular problem, very specific to this 35 qualities. Now for practice, he gives in the next chapter. He gives 20 qualities he gives. That you can develop. You can directly work on developing those qualities. Whereas these 35 qualities you cannot work directly. You put on your effort in that progressive steps that he has given already. That progressive steps, if you are working properly, you will find all these things coming out in you. Automatic. So this is not for direct practice. This is a scale. This is a testing scale. That's about it. This is to test your progress. Or you're progressing in the right direction. Once in a while, if you wanted to check, are we going the right track? Right? How do you check that, sir? For that, he has given this 35 qualities. Right? So this is not a direct effort. But when you are reading these qualities, invariably you will develop one problem. This is if you are sincere, if you are attempting. Right? Otherwise, it will not come. Not for everyone. This is meant only for people who are attempting something. If you are attempting these qualities, invariably you will find you get into a guilt. The gap that you will see becomes a big problem. Like, I remember long time back, once, Swami said, it's better you fellows memorize. This entire portion, memorize. Said it's better. Memorize. At that time, we had a group of people who were there. They were staying for a long period. So the group was staying for about 15 days or so. 15, 20 days they were staying there. Elderly group, all senior citizens. And what was happening was, very interestingly, those people attempted to memorize. The Sthita Prajna portion. Those verses said, memorize. It's worth. And he spoke so much about it. So these people tried to memorize. And Swamiji would go to Bombay for 3 days, and he will stay in the academy for 4 days. So first day he did that, and then he spoke the 4-day classes, all that happened, and then he left to Bombay. After 3 days, he came back to the academy. It was almost 1 week over. After this 1 week, this group, they went and told Swamiji, for the last 1 week, they are trying to memorize this portion. They are not able to memorize. And we are feeling so guilty about it. A feeling so, no, now how are we to memorize it? We are not able to memorize. Is there any technique? Of course, they want to memorize, poor thing. Is there any particular, method where we are going wrong? He immediately said, forget about it. There's no need to memorize only. Memorization is not necessary at all for you to grow, for you to imbibe that knowledge. There's no need for you to memorize all these things. It's a waste of time. Instead of wasting your time on memorizing, move on to investing that for understanding. 1 week back, he is the one who said, memorize. Now he is saying, memorize English not for you people. That's all meant only for scholars. Are you going to become a scholar? Huh? You are here for scholarship? Or you are here to become a pandit or what? All pandits do all these things. Forget it. Now, they got totally confused and they didn't say anything. They got so scared, actually, they stopped. Say, what is going on? What is the shift? The shift is because of this. The shift in his advice. You see that advice. The shift in the advice is, first he says, memorize. You attempt. In that process, instead of getting inspired to memorize, you started feeling guilty. He says that guilt will create what? Will start creating a problem in you to put in that effort. So, to plug that guilt, what he has to say now? Memorization is not required. Now, since he said memorization is not required, we few of us sitting in the class who are capable of memorizing, also what did we do? We also stopped. Oh, Swamiji only said no. And then we also started saying, and then he has to come back and again. You see, this advice, why he has to withdraw that is because instead of memorization attempt inspiring you, started developing a guilt in you. Instead of inspiration, guilt started coming. Same way, when you attempt to develop these qualities, when you read these qualities, that's what the problem is. It's a real, complex scenario here. Because if I explain these qualities one by one in detail, it will be inspiring. But the problem is, you will start attempting to practice. If you try to practice, you can be 200% sure you will fail. When you fail in that attempt, what you will get? You will not get irritated. Why? Because you are attempting with inspiration. Remember, if you are attempting mechanical, you will say what? Sour grape, you will say and walk out. Know the story, no? Aesop. Attempt, and then you say, the grapes is sour, man, it goes. After failing so many times. No, you will not say that. You will not say this is a useless one. No. Why? Because your starting point is inspiration. Why you got inspired? Because of explanation. So if I explain more, you will get inspired. When you get inspired, what you will do? You will try to practice. When you try to practice, you will not achieve. The gap will be more, and the gap will be widening more and more. More the effort you put in, more the gap will be. More the gap, more guilt. And over a period of time, you will become pessimistic and cynical rather than developing optimistic outlook, inspiring outlook in life. We become pessimistic. This is not for us. We are all useless. If we are useless, die. Why live then? There's no point, you see. But then you say, no, that is also not possible. It's also not possible. Why? That pessimism will set. So therefore we say the warning is do not feel guilt. If the guilt comes in, when you study these qualities, understand the guilt is coming because of your wrong attempt to practice. What is a wrong attempt to practice? What is wrong is attempting to develop these qualities directly. No, these qualities are manifestations, expressions, byproduct of your spiritual growth. If you have grown spiritual, these qualities will emerge automatic in you. Otherwise, you will not have this. See, so we say, when you see a person, say for example, when you study about charity, right? Oh, charitable. Now, and you are attempting to do charity, you are learning to do charity, right? When you are trying to build that charitable outlook in life, if you see an uncharitable person, when you encounter an uncharitable person, what you will do? What is the thought you will get? I studied about charity and I am attempting to become a charitable person, and I'm meeting a person who is uncharitable. So when I meet that uncharitable person, what thought should trigger in you is where the effort varies. You see that? If I am not attempting the charity at all, let's say, if I am not attempting to become a charitable person, if I meet an uncharitable person, nothing will happen in me. When you are attempting to be a charitable person, when you meet an uncharitable person, what thought strikes in your mind first? What should be your thought process? Is what the question is. That will be the test. How you will know? All that I spoken of is just an idea, right? Application of that is this. I am attempting, but I meet a person who is contrary. I am attempting to hold my anger. Okay? I get this anger tantrums. I am attempting to get over that anger tantrums. And I see a person who is a short-tempered. This is where you will find a tremendous conflict. And all those who are that, start the spiritual things in the family, everywhere you will find this disparity. Because On one side, they will be attempting all these things. On the other hand, they will be encountering people who practice exact opposite. Best is this, charitable. I am trying to become a charitable person, but I see an uncharitable person. What is the first thought I should get? How I should process my thoughts now? How I should organize my thoughts? I have to reorganize my thoughts. Some thought will come. First thought will come is what? Nah, useless fellow. That's the first thought. But then don't move straight away in that. Just don't entertain. Keep going along in that thought. Consciously redirect it to something else. Conscious redirection is what? To say he is not charitable, am I 100% charitable? If I am not 100% charitable, we will immediately say what? Correct, sir. I am 75% charitable person. He is 10% charitable person. So, world of difference, 10% and 75%. Difference இருக்குல்ல 10% fail, 75% distinction, first class. 75% first class, sir. Correct. When you are attempting to jump and cross a well, 10 feet. The well is about 10 feet. You are attempting to cross. One person jumps and he covers only 2 feet. You jump. You covered 9 feet. Where you will be and where he will be. Doesn't make any difference. There's no point in you claiming, sir. It's like, a lot of people, lose that lottery ticket. Say, one number la pochu, sir. See, whether it is one number you have lost or totally different series, both of you are what? Losers. Now, here these qualities, what you need to understand is either you have it properly or you are not having it. Imperfection here is, there's no gradations in imperfection here. All imperfections were graded into same thing only. Suppose if you have achieved that 100% charitable nature, let's say. What about that person, sir? Okay. Suppose if a fellow has achieved 100% charitable, if he meets an uncharitable person, what he will be? How he will see him? Assuming, sir, I am not 9 feet, sir. I am 10 feet. In fact, I am 11 feet. I have crossed the well and far away. Like you only said, no, from lower to higher. I am like that, sir. If a person has developed that 100% perfection in that quality of charitable, how he will be? He will keep quiet. He will not entertain any thought about the uncharitable fellow. He is not going to be developing any thought about it. If I have developed, if I am 100% charitable person, okay, if I am 100% giver and there is a taker, right? I am a total giver and here is a taker. how I will be? I'll be more happy actually. Imagine I am a 100% giver, another person is also standing a 100% giver. What will be the case? Sunday. There will be fight only. Like in the restaurants you see, people fighting. I'll pay the bill. I'll pay the bill. I'll pay. Both the fellows don't pay. The fellow standing there looking at each other. What to do now? Like that it says. If you are fully charitable, you will not be disturbed over someone not being charitable. You will not get any thought itself in you. So where he will be, sir, if you are a 100% charitable person, you will get into that what we call as the divine silence. You will become quiet. You will not have any thought. So the problem is only when you are uncharitable, or when you are attempting to become charitable person. In that transition period is where the problem is. During the transition period, you need to keep reminding yourself about the goal of perfection. Remind yourself again and again about that. Now, again and again, reminding yourself to be repeating the same thing. I should become perfect, I should become perfect, I should become perfect has no meaning. To give it a proper shape, a proper form, a workable, inspiring vision, Krishna gives 35 qualities. So this 35 qualities is not for all this. It is not to judge people. It is not to develop guilt and not to keep, doing all this. And I say, don't judge people. This is how we judge. How uncharitable he is. Who says that? Either you are not charitable, or since I am attempting to become charitable, to my level of charity, you also should come. If you are not coming to my level of charity, you are not a charitable person. If I have pledged my wealth, you also should pledge your wealth. Isn't it? If I'm not going to pledge my wealth, that's what this fellow did, no? They started moving every country, started calling all these, big shots, asking them to pledge their wealth for charity. How much you are going to pledge, how much you are going to pledge, how much you are going to pledge. Our fellows are very smart. They attempted the party, ate very well and went off. They say, you don't come here and teach us charity. Why? Since I have become charitable, what I will say immediately? Everybody should become charitable now. Now, since I am not getting angry, nobody should get angry. Since I am not having, none of you. Since I am being friendly, you also should be friendly. Since I am being quiet, you also should be quiet. You see that? Now, we start seeing the whole world keeping our standards as a yardstick. He says, remove that first and replace it with a better yardstick. For that, he gives 35 qualities. Huge list. My problem is to do it in detail or not. If I do 35 qualities in detail, every class one quality. 35 classes pohum. Right? You will forget, that itself will go for 1 year. 12th chapter. From 13 to 20, another beautiful portion of this chapter. 35 qualities of a bhakta. Let me decide. I have not decided. So we'll see next class.